Okay, welcome back to Horizon Zero Dawn. This is part number 60.5. This is going to be a supplemental episode. So, first things first is we're going to deactivate that quest. And so for our progression, we're at 88.63, and we're missing a few things. We're missing some unique modifications, one shadow item, and one errand. Now that errand is a part of the hunting grounds, I'm pretty sure. I did a little bit of research, and then I looked, and so what we're going to do for this is we're going to go through our data points. And we've read all the quest ones, but we need to find the world ones, and we're actually missing a few audio data points as well. So I pulled up the Frozen Wilds interactive map by Swiss Games Guides, so we can go find what we're missing here. So, a few of the things anyways that we're missing are all in the same place. So, and they're near the dam. A couple of the world data points there. Number 5 and number 8 are both near the dam. Let's see here. And number 9 as well. So hold on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we need 9 as well. And we do have that one already. So that's number 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Yeah, Park says we have that one. Okay, so the first one that we're missing is just north of the Tall Neck area, and it looks like it's more or less right there. So we're gonna head there first. So basically, we're not gonna make any quest progress here. We're just gonna wrap up some of our kind of side activities. Not all of this will actually count towards the 100% completion. But it's just stuff that I like to do.
Ouch.
To have done. Like, it's you know, the game doesn't count it, but I do. So, and you know, if you've made it through everything so far, you'll know that I'm just a little ornery about a couple of things, and this is one of them. So, yeah, this shouldn't take too long. We're also going to read through the base game collectibles that we didn't read through before, because I just forgot. Honestly, that's really all it was. I was just in the moment. I forgot, and you know, a lot of those were between 3 and 5 hours long already, and I just, you know, I got distracted doing other stuff. It happens. But this one shouldn't be too long. It's certainly not going to be 5 hours. It'll probably be a little bit longer than the normal episode, but I don't anticipate it's going to be...
Everything's freezing. The ground, the air, me.
Okay. That's that one. So the next one is going to be pretty much right on this campfire. So we'll just mark the campfire. And I think, looking at the unique modification list, side quest Hunters 3, which we did, collect and deliver all 6 animal statues, which we did, hunting grounds all gold, which we have not done, deliver all pigments, we've done, inside Grey Catch, which we did, errand out of the forge, which we did, the Firebreak facility, which we did, Shaman's Path, which we got, Frozen Lake southwest of Deepden in a chest. I'm pretty sure we got that one. Well, we can check. That one was Warrior's Outfit Weave. Well, here we can open our boxes here. Warrior's outfit weave. At a guess, I'd say it's probably in one of my outfits. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. Ikri's Challenge Gold and the Claws Beneath. So 2 of those that we're missing are from Hunting Grounds, which we won't be doing in this part. And then the last one is, okay, that's that one. And the last one is just we missed it. It's not too far away. So the next one's probably about there. And we will get that one in this part. We'll likely have to head in that direction anyways. I was taking a drink, so I didn't look to see that I was running into that wall. Oh, yep, here it is. Okay, so let's see here. See, audio number 9. Hey, get down from there. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And that one. Looks like it's about there. And there's a world one there as well. And that's number 10. And it's called Proposal Approved. So we don't have either of them. Make sure they're friendly. They are. Unlike that one time when they were bandits and I wasn't expecting that. Kind of screwed up my fight with the fire claw a little bit, but...
Security inspection. This place, as my father used to say, is a 6-alarm dumpster fire. A catastrophic breach waiting to happen. And this Malinowski guy, he's the source of the problem. I guarantee it. Too wrapped up in this pet project of his. I mean, who the hell cares if a bunch of stagnant pools of water are rainbow colored or not?
God, that guy sucks. Okay, so we're missing audio number 11. It's not that one. We have that. Sorry, I am looking at my interactive map. World number 6. So 4, 5, 6. Okay, yeah. And so that's gonna be... Oh, you know what? Oh no, I think it's about right there. Give or take. Luckily, we picked up most of this in the main series. So we don't have too much more left to do here. Yep. It's in this old bus. All right. And the last two world data points are actually pretty close to each other. So, the first one looks like it's about there. And we're gonna, honestly, most of this part's probably gonna just be traveling. And I should take a look, but I'm pretty confident we have all the machine sites discovered. Yeah, I think the DLC did a lot better job on taking us everywhere we needed to go just to have everything explored or discovered. Yeah. Yeah, we have all the campfires, all the machine sites. All right, cool. So we just got to go pick up these couple of world data points, and I think we have 2 more audio data points. And I think I did a little bit of looking around in between parts, or in between recordings, and I think both of them are in. Hey, buddy. I think both of them are in. I think one of them is in the firebreak facility, more or less, where we were like, oh, I guess there's nothing here, and then we left. And then I think the other one is in Oray's retreat. But we'll double check that and figure that out. And then once we have everything, we'll read through them all, including the base game ones that we skipped over in the past. And then we'll head back to Song's Edge to end the part. Again, it's going to be a relatively short one, at least compared to the other ones we've done, with this same purpose. Funny that we were like 2 feet away from this thing at one point. Alright. It's that one. And then the last one. Let me zoom in on this map a little bit more. There we go. The last one seems to be about there. And then after we do the... Oh, you know what? There might be a shard farming episode. So the next part, 61, is just going to be the hunting trials. And that should be fine. That shouldn't be an issue. But after the hunting trials, we're probably going to have to do a shard farming one to pick up all the armors and stuff from the base game. Yeah. Okay, that is our final one of those. So the next thing we need to do is go there. You know what? I think going to Araya's retreat, if we do need to go to Araya's retreat, I think that's going to be quicker and easier. So we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Number 11. Okay. Maybe 11 is the one that was in Firebreak. Yeah, it is. Okay, so that's 12, and then 24, and then 25. So we're missing 25. That might be the one that was in O'Reilly's retreat. Oh, that's a great catch. Oop. Yeah, okay. So it's 25 that's in O'Reilly's retreat, but we should go there anyways to get that. Because it's not far from where we are, but it's far from where the other places that we have to go, so... we could have rappelled down in there and maybe not set off the things. We probably would have, but still. But hey, we're making really good progress. We're really close
A quick way down.
to being done with this. I'm going to finish recording this either today or tomorrow. I have both days off, so my recording days basically. And it'll take me another week and a half to actually do the editing. But we're still really close to being done recording this, which is a big milestone for me since it's the first game I've ever recorded in full. And we're, you know, getting close to the end. It's exciting. Obviously, again, I do need to still finish the editing before. I do, you know, I do still have to finish the editing, but, before I move on to the next project. But, that's not too big of a deal. I should finish it throughout the week. I usually have enough time to do a little bit. And then, yeah, we'll be more or less done. I do wish I could climb back up that way, but it's okay. And this is in, okay, it's in O'Reilly's retreat, and it's in a metal square room that looks like it has a bunch of snow in it, with a little table in the middle, and it looks like it's on the table. Oh, it looks like it's in like a side room. Bigger room than that. Maybe we can just, it's not, okay, floor 1. I'm wondering how to get to floor 1, because it's been a minute. I really don't remember. Probably back this way. We probably have to go outside and then back in. Like a different entrance. Oh yeah, because there's all this like crap like under here. Alright, let's save it. And then yeah. Oh, it's just a little bit of grass. Whoop. Here it is. that happened. It's my impatience. I get impatient and then I just, yeah. It's funny too because I often like say that like, oh, I think I have more patience than most people, and that's probably not true, honestly. At the very least, I certainly feel like I prove myself wrong on a regular basis. But at least we know where we're going right now. And this time we won't make the same mistake. Okay, now we're on floor 1, and the data point crap, where'd it go? It was 25, right? Yeah, okay. The data point's in that room. Yep, right here.
How am I going to explain to Kenny that Firebreak is doomed without a guiding intelligence advanced enough not only to think, but to feel?
Okay, personal log 0.6. What does it mean to quantify an intelligence anyways? You can't just assign a number on a continuum to a conscious mind and then expect it to obey whatever arbitrary limit that number represents. There's no way around it. Without the supervision of a mind beyond human capacities, Firebreak is going to fail, and 0.6 won't cut it either. By pushing sentience, you inevitably generate a system that can experience emotion. Wild, sloppy, unmanageable emotion. You're capable of abstract thought, you're capable of fear, like Vast Silver. I won't go through that again. I categorically refuse. Hopefully I can get this all across to Kenny. I like him. I like his lopsided little smile. I especially like those little circles he makes with his hands when he gets excited about an idea. If we hadn't been flung together like this, maybe he and I, well, no point in wool gathering. I wonder, could an artificial brain experience this singular combination of desire and preemptive regret? Okay. I'm just gonna go out the way I came in. You know, lady, Anita, you should have just went for it. Alrighty. So, now we gotta head up here. And yeah, it's a Fireclaw site. I don't really have any intention of actually fighting that Fireclaw, but there's a unique mod there that I didn't get last time I went there, so we're gonna have to get that, and then we're gonna have to go back into the Firebreak facility. For number 11. And yeah, I see exactly where it is. It's right next to the,
Scrabbling a bit.
it's right next to the, behemoth, the demonic behemoth that I really didn't want to fight. But that's okay. It'll only be the third time we've had to go in there for one reason or another. And I'm just curious. Yeah, 88.63. So, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, we have this one unique mod that's going to give us, I don't remember, I think it's like 1.5% or something. Towards the 100% completion. But then after that, just doing all the hunting ground stuff should put us at 100%. Yeah. At least for the DLC. We're still gonna be, you know, quite a bit short on just shards for buying all the shadow armors from the base game. But we'll do another supplemental when we get that far and farm up what we need before finally, at long last, doing the final quest of the main base game and the main story and moving on. Being done with this and then starting the next thing. Okay, I don't want to attract the attention of these guys all too much. And luckily we didn't. Alright, so the goal here is to sneak in, get the modification, sneak out. He never knows, the Fireclaw never even knows we're here. When that inevitably fails, we'll just pop our Shield Weaver on and just fucking dodge all of his attacks and... Oh, you know what? Okay, he's just piecing out over that way. That works too. I was gonna just shock him.
Hello there.
Yep. Insulated outfit weave, huh? That's pretty fucking good, honestly. Hold on a second. Yeah, where'd it go? Here it is. We'll just throw that in there, and then... Yeah. It's got a little bit of everything. Alright, that went smoother than I expected it to be honest with you. Okay, so Unfortunately, we can't get back in that way, so we're gonna have to go all the way around. But that's okay. Now, it would be cool if I could read the data points while I was running to where I'm going. Unfortunately, the only way I could do that is if I stop talking completely now. Oh, Christ. And then, you know, separately recorded me reading the data points, but then it wouldn't be on screen, and for those that are hearing impaired or whatever, can't enter this location. Okay. It's gonna make me go all the way. Yeah. Okay, and we can pretty much just follow this path down. There's really no reason to try to shortcut it at all.
Funny. The bandits reinforced this place to keep us out, and now they're back.
Okay. Some of them are bandits. And I'm gonna switch to my Shield Weaver just in case they're strong bandits, because sometimes they are, and sometimes they can one-shot you. Yeah, that wasn't a one shot, but it still hurt.
Regroup!
There we go. Okay, well. I don't want any part of the machines, I just wanted to kill the bandits. For maybe some potions or something. Alright, we'll probably go to about there, as we're about where we can probably jump down relatively safely. And the only trophies we're really going to be missing here are the ones to use the DLC skills. It's going to be like, you know, dismount strike things and it's just stuff I just don't care about. I'm not fighting the Glint Hawks. The Glint Hawks can do one. And then battery facility. Not fighting all this stuff. I should, as I do need the shards, but I'm kind of... I've done a lot of fighting. I killed like 6 Fireclaws today. Plus a bunch of other stuff, and I'm stressed, and yeah, this is the relaxation time for sure.
Breath is ice. Before I even breathe out.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even try to get in there. I assumed the game wouldn't let me, and I assumed correctly, but, you know, sometimes you just gotta try. You know, I didn't even try the door. Oh well, okay. Now... yeah, this is floor 1, and it's showing pretty much right there. So, let's see if we can sneak in, grab it, and then sneak out before anything kills us. Yeah, he's gonna see us. Okay. So, that's that.
I think I'm in the clear.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna head back to Song's Edge. Then we're gonna sit down and do all the reading that I've been putting off / forgot to do before. And just, oh, yeah. There we go. And 89.35%.
For the sake of the song.
Mourn the dead.
Okay, and then we're just gonna mark up Song's Edge. Fucking Glint Hawks, man. They're way less of a problem now, but still. Hey. Watch your heart sell. Not for a huge amount, but it's something. Alrighty. Oh, we're gonna find a nice little spot to chill while we do this. I wish there was a place I could actually sit down.
Don't forget the Mad Sun King's practice.
There we go. This'll work. Alrighty. Data points. World. Okay. So, this is just the observer log for the, yeah, I know you smell things. Get off of there. This is the observer log for the tall neck that we overrode at the beginning of this. Not going to read through all of it. And here we go. A summons from the claim. As argued by the Alderman of Mainspring. Ulgrid Smithson, previously of 3 Chains, now of no lawful abode, is found guilty in crimes of reneging on blood oaths, theft of sworn property, and life-taking. All sworn property, in the name of Ulgrid Smithson, is hereby seized and will go to auction at the next gathering of the Eldermen. Furthermore, the gavels have been dispatched to find and return Ulgrid Smithson for sentencing or in the case of his resistance to deliver execution without counter-argument. This matter is spat and sworn upon by Hegeda Bladewife Gavel. Okay, to all staff from Marnie Jeopard's subject addressing the rumors. Some of you have overheard portions of the, let's call them, spirited conversations I've been having with the charming Mr. Blevins in my office over the past week. So let's address the big honking elephant we're crammed into this room with. The park has been acquired by something called Firebreak, and they're restricting access to authorized personnel. I wish I had more details to share, but those are literally the only ones I've been given. Upshot, this isn't a national park anymore. No visitors means no visitors center. We've got 2 weeks. I know this is not easy. If you're like me, this place represents something bigger and more important than a paycheck. Believe me, I am right there with you. When I say that this park is the most beautiful place in America, it's not PR and it's not hype. It breaks my heart to think that nobody will be around to applaud Old Faithful or stare into the beauty pool. But this is where we find ourselves. I realize there's a temptation to check out and give up, but I really, really need your help over the next 2 weeks. Tours will continue through Friday, so I'm going to need guides. And even though regular ops at the gift shops are suspended, we've got a ton of surplus merch to box up and ship back to manufacturers, including about a bazillion unsold Monrek hollow figures. Yes, Monrek wants everything, but the display figs back. No, I can't imagine why either. Please, you guys, just give me 2 more weeks of your time. I can't shut this place down alone. Best, Marnie. Okay, World's Last Grizzly dies in National Park, Mammoth Hot Springs, Wyoming, November 23rd, 2051. Today, a continent joins hands in grieving the loss of an iconic species. Sergeant Woolly Knickers, the world's last known grizzly bear, Ursus actus horribilis, was found dead by Yellowstone Park Rangers at the confluence of Yellowstone River and Thoroughfare Creek. The sentimental explanation for his demise is heartbreak. His mate, Elvira, was felled by a viral infection a few months prior. DNA samples were taken from both bears during their stay at Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo in 2050, but efforts to clone them have been proven unsuccessful. Zookeepers reintroduced the pair into the wild several months ago in hopes that large outdoors territory would encourage them to produce cubs. Conservation efforts at the turn of the century met with some success in restoring the bears. In 2017, the species was delisted as endangered by the United States Interior Department, but a diminishing food supply and shortened hibernation periods still threatened, and their numbers dwindled rapidly in the die-off era. The grizzly joins an ever-growing list of North American species gone extinct, alongside the cougar, bee, and data corrupted. To Shelley Guerrera McKenzie from Laura Vogel, subject, emissions joyride. Okay, girl, you are never going to guess what happened on my way home last night. First thing, I heard this sound like a herd of killer bees escaping out of a tin can. Then there was this weird light through the trees. I was totally hoping it was aliens, but nah, it was one of those old blue spectrum LEDs. Looked super creepy on the snow. As it got closer, I heard some Yahoo letting out this weird guttural man shriek as if he were doing some macho primal scream therapy. You know, with 1,000 RPMs between his legs. Said Yahoo's none other than Dodd Blevins, our new director of security, or whatever his $20 title is. He was actually riding an old snowmobile. They're like 1,000 times more polluting than a combustion-era car. My expert professional opinion, Blevins is a grade A douche canoe. I decided not to stick the security bod on his flabby rear. After all, he's practically our boss for the next 2 weeks. But Shells, you might want to take a bathroom break now because you're going to lose it when you find out what I did instead. I was standing right near one of the trail signs and I could tell Blevins was headed for me, so I reprogrammed the sign to swap directions between Fairy Falls and Purple Mountain. Wicked, right? You'd never get a snowmobile up there. I hope he bailed out hard and had to walk back to the lodge. I guess I'll be filing my very first incident report right before this whole thing shuts down forever. I could let it slide like usual, but then where's the fun? Shells, where's the fun? L. Knowing what we know what happened to Dodd Blevins, she killed him. Yeah, she killed him real good. Anyways, Yellowstone sucks. Servitor says I'll get docked if I don't do the personal response assignment. Okay, fine, here you go, Robonag. This trip sucks, Yellowstone sucks, high school sucks. Dropped my sandwich in some weird rainbow water and it got dissolved. Kinda wicked, I guess, but now I'm hungry. Why are they always saying to admire the view? Who cares about a view? Don't make me look at things I don't want to look at. Bears, raccoons, rabbits, so many furry who cares it's. Holocast here sucks. Couldn't DL latest Goblination patch till we got back on the autobus and missed Shattered Chasm challenge on my horde. Was so pissed. I hate nature. There, done, enjoy. Bye, Beth from above. Okay, Park Weekly Report for July 9 through 15, 2045. Calving has begun. Cow elk may be hostile during calving season. Do not approach within 25 yards of elk at this time. Fire security. Due to recent cool and damp weather, fire danger downgraded from moderate to low. No restrictions on campfires. Robot activity. 7 additional complaints were logged regarding the behavior of Smokey, Hestia class firefighting robot, towards campers in the park. Despite being programmed to reflect current weather conditions, Smokey stuffed several campfires lit within designated fire rings while playing back the recorded message intended for conditions of severe fire damage. On Friday, Smokey did not return to the robot stowage shed at the time of park closure. Rangers located him near the north entrance, dumping ice into designated swimming areas of the hot spring. Resisting all attempts at containment, he acted aggressively towards the Rangers and was disabled with a hunting rifle by the site supervisor. A Faro technician will arrive on Monday to evaluate Smokey. Milton Daly, Park Ranger. A Wheel of Life behind California terror attack. Beverly Hills, California, March 14th, 2044. In a statement released yesterday, the radical group Wheel of Life has claimed responsibility for last week's terror attack, which has generated fear and uncertainty throughout Los Angeles County. 3 suicide bombers detonated lethal explosives onto the grounds of the Juventus Center, a luxury clinic dedicated to regeneration and life extension therapies. As well as killing 5 clinic staff, the attack claimed the life of tech billionaire Aubrey Hopkins, founder of a research project on salamander biology that led to the first successful human longevity treatments. Hopkins himself had been experimenting with the treatment since early phases of the project. The expense associated with these treatments has thus far made them available only to the world's most affluent. Their use by the rich has sparked widespread controversy, serving as fuel for aggressive response like those carried out by Wheel of Life. Aging and death flow from the spring of renewal that makes us human. The extension of life and youth by false means degrades our essential nature and brings spiritual corruption. Those who perished last week spent their lives to fill the gap dividing rich and poor, read their statement in part. The group's role in the bombing was already suspected as multiple witnesses recounted the shouting of data corrupted. Okay. As the waters recede, the people return. Singapore, May 5th, 2043. A large pink-tinted rock marks the summit of Bukit Timah Hill, Singapore's highest point, at one time 164 meters above sea level. Charmaine Lowe records a self-hollow next to the rock, her bright smile contradicted by nervous fidgeting with her prismatic fake nails and 30s-style subdermal jewelry. I thought I'd never see this place again. I can't believe it's real, she marvels. Proud Bukit Timah has stood firm against time and weather, but the rest of Singapore has fared less well. With approximately a third of the island nation at less than 5 meters above sea level, Singaporeans like Charmaine were forced to abandon their homes as inexorable waters leached away their foundations throughout the snoring 20s. I see you, little bastard. Now, the surviving members of Charmaine's family are returning, alongside many others. As global temperatures and sea levels stabilize, people come by air or by water. Some seek refuge from the deleterious effects of the Citarum River tragedy, whose costs still reverberate today. All hope to build new lives atop the collapse of once stable and prosperous country. Singapore represents one of many states abandoned by their citizens in the aftermath of heavy coastal flooding. Questions surrounding ownership are difficult to answer. Government and law enforcement personnel fled far in advance of the country's devastation, and documentation of title is scattered at best. The plot of land in which Charmaine's childhood home once sat had belonged to the Lowe family for almost and data's corrupted. Okay, proposal approved. Sylvester Malinowski, personal log number 041. Approved my chromatic preservation proposal. Blevins is furious, of course, but any expenditure that doesn't directly benefit his security team makes him furious, so it is hard to work up the energy to care. In any case, I think we're at go. Now, if I'm right, with some relatively minor tweaks to the bacterial and pH contents of the springs, we should be able to cool them down without losing any of the coloration that makes them so special. The water at the centers of the pools should remain entirely sterile, and the cyanobacteria at the edges ought to have exact same photosynthetic reaction. This is a real win. I mean, there will come a day when this park is open to people again. I have to believe that, and when it is, those people want to see the prismatic springs. You know, it occurs to me, when it's all said and done, you'll be able to swim right through those springs. It'll be like taking a warm bath. Will tourists return to the park? Date, March 1st, 2045. Contact, Marnie Jeffords. Mammoth Hot Springs, Wyoming. Roosevelt Arc soars above the road to the north entrance of Yellowstone National Park. In the park's heyday, more than 100,000 visitors each month pass below this arch on their way to visit such celebrated landmarks as the Geyser Old Faithful, the mighty Yellowstone River, and the vibrant Grand Prismatic Pools. Since President Ulysses S. Grant signed an act of dedication to create Yellowstone National Park in 1872, it has survived forest fires, world wars, and earthquakes to be enjoyed by nature lovers for more than 150 years, until environmental concerns drove the entire world into chaos. In 2031, the federal government withdrew funding from the park and transferred ownership to the state of Wyoming, after which the rate of visitation slowed to a trickle. Old Faithful, dependable eruptions went unobserved, and Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel, where guests once devoured bison meatballs, sat empty for years, blankly staring across an expansive wilderness. The 30s saw several attempts to privatize the park. Many companies, including the powerful Faro Automated Solutions, made bids to purchase the land. After Faro's proposal was abruptly withdrawn in 2040, weakened federal protections on public parks were restored, coinciding with the easing of climate change through technological means. As the world claws back, so too will Yellowstone. As of next week, the park will be restored to the United States government, with Faro Automated Solutions returning to finance the handoff, as well as providing funding for as of yet unspecified new facilities. Tourism is already up in advance of these proceedings, and soon Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel and the park's walkways will bustle with life again. We look forward to your and Data's Corrupted. Okay, Lafayette's Last Supper. Look, honey, we're front page. The Dubai's Wrangler. Local family serves up last farm-grown steak to Governor Jepson. June 11th, 2038. Wyoming Governor Mr. Ozzie Jepson was in the Dubois area last week for some official visits. In among the busyness of those appointments, he sat down for a very special dinner with a very special family, the Lafayettes. Everyone knows the Lafayettes, of course. Who hasn't ridden one of their trails astride a sturdy paint pony, played chase the gopher in their fields, or chowed down on a thick, juicy steak coming off their farm? Their solid gold reputation is what brought the governor to their table 2 nights ago. It's no secret that raising cattle has gotten ever more difficult and expensive. A long time past are the days of herds stretching to the horizon. Why, nearly the only people who still keep cows are dude ranchers. The Lafayettes tried their best, God bless them, but they were smart enough to see what's coming down country lane and banished their barns in favor of shiny new meat-growing operations a few months back. This impressive collection of vats, tubes, and belts takes up almost an acre of land and allows production of over 600 meat units per, and Data's Corrupted. Last request. Oh, son, this baby may be my last record in a cold and friendless land. To your ears, I admit my mistake, following in the well-traveled Aram's footstep, lacking his experience or snowshoes. Yet I had always dreamed of seeing the land of the Banuk for myself. For my folly, I had been buffeted by blizzard, chased by machines, and pressed to what must be the very gates of Banur. I trust there are watchtowers above and that the Banuk will not leave a traveler to his death, but the wind drowns out my calls for aid, and any sign I make is fast extinguished. My only hope is to huddle here and wait for a break in the snow, even as I hear my pursuers drawing ever closer. Oh, son, should this be the end, see to it that my worldly possessions are distributed equally among my 5 cousins, and my flower garden in Bright Market is watered regularly, twice daily for rust bells, in my memory. Okay. Now, we'll start with the Banuk figures. And these are from the collectibles from the base game that we just never got around to reading and when we were doing the base game. Tech Took. Upon this peak I name you my son, that which I could not do before my exile. Signac, chieftain of my Warwick, thought your blood was his, but the truth was clear as the color of the sky, painted in your eyes and mine. As I wander alone in this foreign land, it is not Signac's deaths that wound me, nor the memory of Illy your mother, nor even the loss of snow-sheathed Ben-Ur, my home, but instead the silence that lay between us, who should have been your father and son. I paint my mark here for you and leave you this offering, though it will never touch the warmth of your hands. Tech Took. As the months of my exile turned to years, I have thought long on what kept me from claiming you. Such a call could only be settled in blood, by the death of Signac our chieftain or my own. It is true I feared this battle and his strength, but not as much as I feared its aftermath. In the eyes of Illy your mother, distant and dead, as they beheld the corpse of her mate, this I could not bear, so I remained silent, ashamed. But fate is cold and cruel, and my fears came to pass despite me. I paint this mark in sorrow and leave you this offering, though it will never touch the warmth of your hands. Tech Took. In my exile, I often envision your eyes, wide and blue and dumbstruck, as the body of Signac our chieftain was laid before you. The Warok saw how I looked at his mate, Illy your mother. To them, my guilt was as plain and sharp as the crack of spring ice. As they stripped me bare and left me to die on the glacier, the warmth of life departed me, but not the bitter will to hunt, to strive, to survive. Perhaps to prove I needed no one, least of all those who wronged me. I am only at peace when I paint my marks and craft these offerings to you, though they will never touch the warmth of your hands. Tech Took, there is much I would confess to you, but one thing I cannot. I did not kill Signac, our chieftain, who claimed to be your father. That night I was alone in my tent, drunk with cold wine, dreaming as I always did, of Illy your mother and her sunset smile. You will never hear my testament, and my offering will never touch the warmth of your hands. But I paint my mark in the light of truth. I know what I am guilty of and what I am not. I hope against hope that in your heart you know the same. Tech Took. Falsely accused, exiled, starving and cold, I faltered. This I confess. As the death chills overcame me, I lost will and purpose and felt the bottomless callousness of fate. But then a vision. I saw in my mind's eye an endless white plain, with only a single figure waiting. It was you. And I knew, in death, if not in life, I would see you again. When the chills faded, I rose with new hope. I paint my mark here for you, in anticipation of our meeting, and leave you this offering, though it will never touch the warmth of your hand. Tech Took. It is only because you will never read these glyphs that I can write them. After a lifetime of longing, I spent only a single night with Illy your mother, a memory that I cherish but she reviled, a burning coal of guilt she carried in her belly. And so I wonder, was her guilt laid bare the night Signac our chieftain was killed? Did he discover the truth? Was she forced to defend herself? If only I had been there to stand between them, to actually strike the blow I was punished for. At least then I would have been her champion and the father you deserved for a single moment. I paint this mark with eternal regret and leave you this offering, though it will never touch the warmth of your hands. So obviously that was one continuous story about a Banuk guy who, yeah, it's a sad one. I don't have any children of my own, but that's definitely a sad one. So this is audio and text, so I'm going to play the audio and then read the text.
A pocket shitstorm tour, day 2. My father guest lectured here. A 300-level military history course on the age of human air power. Might as well have been teaching medieval siege tactics. I was 8 when he died.
Okay. Hi, Mom. You brought me here once to see Baba teach. I didn't know it at the time, but the class was something like out of the 20th century. He stood behind a lectern in a real space lecture hall, raising his unamplified voice to be heard by flesh and blood cadets seated in plastic chairs. This being 45 or 46, our Air Forces must have already been 60 to 70% automated, but the academy was still old school, literally. I suppose the quaintness of the setting fit for the subject he was teaching. The age of human air power, 1909 through question mark. The cadets probably thought the question marks were wishful thinking or willful ignorance. From their perspective, the era of the human pilot was already over, but not for Baba. I can still see the medals he kept in that drawer in the bedroom, the inscriptions in Sanskrit, "Touch the sky with glory," you said one meant. Even as the Commodore in the IAF, he'd keep flying. He still remembered what it was like to sit in a cockpit with his hand on the stick and his finger on a trigger. And that's how he died, June 5th, 2048. At the funeral, some Metallurgic International rep said we should be proud he died defending free markets. Even then, I knew that was a lie. He died defending M.Int's claim on a tantalum. Hey, why? For Christ's sake. Even then, I knew that was a lie. He died defending M.Int's claim on a tantalum mine. That's what he died for. And why stop the truth-telling there? Really, he died because M.Int wasn't yet rich enough to afford a fully automated fleet, because it wasn't cost-effective to upgrade a military surplus Razor Wing with improved electronics warfare gear. He died because human combat pilots were just as obsolete as the crates they put them in, and just as expendable. When he spiraled into the jungle, our family crashed with him. For weeks you couldn't get out of bed, and then came the hospital, me staying with neighbors. Even after he recovered, even when he said all the right things and promised me we'd be okay, I didn't believe it. Something had broken between us. I felt like an orphan and nothing seemed to matter anymore, which is how I lived for the next 7 years, until it almost killed me.
A pocket shitstorm tour, day 4. It's hard to believe Metallurgic International used to be headquartered in this dreary old ziggurat. Wyatt's office was on the 2nd floor from the top. If Emmett had a policy against workplace romances, he probably wrote it.
Hi, Ma. Looking back, it's almost comical how much I detested Wyatt. I hated everything about him. His lumpy face, his bad skin, his always calm voice, his out-of-style suits, and especially his stupid cowboy name. I don't care how badly you want to assimilate. There's never any excuse for naming your kid after a gunfighter. I couldn't believe you wanted to replace my Baba, a decorated combat flyer, with a corporate drone, so I made it as hard for you as I could. I was beyond cruel. I accused you to your face of only being interested in Wyatt for his money, called you, my own mother, a gold digger and worse, refused to attend the wedding, and then got myself arrested the night before just to cinch the point. It took me years to understand the obvious. Of course you married him for his money, for my sake, not yours. Before Wyatt, the job you were working didn't even cover food and rent. When you didn't get overtime, we slipped deeper in debt or went hungry. You literally couldn't afford to spend time at home, let alone pay for childcare or rent a nanny bot. Meanwhile, your son was out of control, a truant and a thief, not even out of junior high and already a drug addict. If you'd only had yourself to worry about, I think you would have been politely refused Wyatt's interests. You were no stranger to hardship. Compared to what you went through getting out of Kolkata in 2037, simple poverty seemed like a cakewalk. You knew how to survive. But your son didn't. I was headed nowhere, at ramming speed. You married Wyatt to save me, for the stability and opportunities his money could provide. It wound up working, but not as smoothly as you'd hope. Before I could be saved, I had to die first. But that's a story for the amphitheater.
Apaka Shitstorm Tour, Day 3. I was 13 when I broke in and vandalized this place. Me and that kid, I think his name was Star. It was my first arrest. A real banner day for the Mahdi family. What a messed up kid I was.
Hi, Ma. Like me, Star was a problem. Like me, Star was a problem kid, but he really wasn't smart enough to get into trouble on his own. I didn't tell him my real motivations, just made breaking into the museum and vandalizing it sound like a fun thing to do high on Duster. I was only 13, but my combined interest in tech and drugs had already acquainted me with the basics of hacking security systems. I used a jammer to bypass a window alarm, and then I got to work. I toppled holo exhibits, smashed dioramas, yanked display panels off the walls, and smashed those too. I forgot all about Star until he yelped about flying glass. He was just standing there, holding his cheek, staring at me with big, scared eyes, whining about how this was crazy and I was going to get us arrested. He was right about the arrest. Getting caught was part of my plan, but wrong about the crazy. My one-boy orgy of destruction wasn't some kind of drug-soaked psychotic frenzy. It was a calculated attack. Not on the museum, on Wyatt. You'd started dating Wyatt a few weeks before, and I didn't like him. I wanted him gone. When you had him over for dinner, one of the many boring things he droned on about was how he served on the board of the museum and oversaw its technology purchases. Anyway, as I was saying, Star was right to think we were going to get arrested. It went down quick. Star began screaming about how he was burning all over, and the next thing I knew, I was face down in a mound of expanding foam. The police bots never even warned us. Compared to Star, I got off easy. I'd never been on the business end of a microwave gun, but they say it hurts like hell. I was still picking bits of foam out of my hair a week later, though. Fines and damages came to 18 months of basic income, so it wasn't just a shame that my actions brought down the family, but financial catastrophe too. Which is why the plan backfired. I didn't push Wyatt away. I handed him a golden opportunity. He stepped in and paid the bill, and it was only another month or two before you got engaged. It's weird, but lately I've been dreaming about that night. I keep seeing that first projector I toppled, watching that hologram of a pioneer woman slew sideways and spin on the floor like a bowling pin as the emitter crashed over. A zap and a flicker and she was gone. History shorting out. Kind of like now. I wonder if anyone will survive to build museums about us.
Apaka Shitstorm Tour, Day 8. Holy crap. That glitched out lifter that crushed your arm and clavicle. Back before you met Wyatt. That was in a mine back beyond these falls. Oh, what a punk I was.
Ma, I can't believe I just stumbled across this place. I remembered your injury, of course. I just forgot that it happened all the way out here. This was before Wyatt, obviously, when things were really hard for us. I was 12 or 13, already smoking Duster every day, and you were working all the time, stuck in the job you convinced Metallurgic to give you after they stiffed us on the death settlement. It must have been terrible, servicing mining robots and dig tunnels for 1.5 basic, but it's how you kept us fed. When the lifter injured you, the foreman said it was your fault, said the telemetry showed human error, yours. When you told me that the telemetry had been cooked, I didn't believe you. I blamed you for your injury, same as the company. What a great kid I was. I didn't understand the situation at all. Denial of comp was a financial death blow. We were days from living on the street, which is why you pushed your grievance up the ladder, up and up until you finally wound up in Wyatt's office. He ordered an investigation, which was the right thing to do, though I've always just wondered just how dispassionate his decision was. The investigation proved the telemetry had been tampered with and validated your claim, and the implants and cybernetics fixed you up good as new. By all appearance, it looked like everything that had gotten broken had been fixed. Hell, another 6 months and you and Wyatt started seeing each other so before long even our poverty was fixed. What we didn't know, of course, was that you'd been poisoned. Lubar 6 exposure from the solvents you used to keep the robot joints clear. We were still years away from knowing the long-term effects, but the damage was done. You doomed yourself working a shitty job to keep me fed and clothed, and I can't even remember a single time I thanked you for it. Screw this place.
A Pucka shitstorm tour, day 9. I was setting up my tent right here when Wyatt's call came through. I came as fast as I could, but you'd already slipped into a coma. We never got a chance to say goodbye.
Hi, Ma. My plan was to go camping here after the Amos 15 launch. I've been working OT for the past 9 months, so I was pretty frazzled and figured I should take a weekend to relax before Crunch started up again. I was setting up my tent when Wyatt's call came through. He said it was an emergency. I called a lift spin vert and made it to Denver General in less than 27 minutes. I was too late. You'd already slipped into a coma. I didn't understand how that could be. When I told Wyatt to explain, he just kept choking up, waving me towards the care station. So it was a holodoc that broke the news, how you'd been diagnosed a year earlier, the adverse reactions to gene therapy and polymer vascular replacements, the 6 months of mobile dialysis. I couldn't believe you kept it all secret from me. Even at the height of Crunch, I called you once or twice a week. So you just sat there listening to me enthuse about my latest project or complain about workplace politics, and all the while you were dying? It didn't make sense. I marched back to Wyatt, cornered him, and demanded that he explain. He said you hadn't wanted to distract me, that what I was doing was important and needed to focus. You know, as the latest Amos launch and the palladium and rhodium it'd bring back to Earth mattered to me more than the Ma who was already here. Wyatt kept saying how proud you were of me. He even parroted that onwards and upwards phrase of yours. He said I should get back to work, that's what you would have wanted, that he'd stay at the hospital and keep me informed. I didn't go back to work. I called in. It took arguing my way past 2 supervisors, a labyrinthian automated HR menu, a human resources AI, and an anal defensive benefits executive to activate my personal leave, but I did it. And then I sat at your bedside for the next 7 days. I kept thinking of the hospital after my OD at the amphitheater, kept thinking that if you came out of the coma, I wanted my face to be the first thing you saw. On the 8th day, they pronounced you dead. After the funeral, I went back to work, but I wasn't really there. I kept telling myself to focus, that it was okay to be there. It was what you would have wanted, after all, onwards and upwards. But my work fell behind. When my supervisor called me in for an emergency review, I told myself to play it cool, accept the criticism, and promise to do better. It didn't go like that. I snapped and shouted him, and then broke down sobbing uncontrollably. 2 minutes and 3 sectrons later, and I was standing outside the Pharaoh building, blinking in sunshine, straightening my bunched-up clothes. An alert on my focus indicated that I should go home for the day, then report for a disciplinary review on Monday. But I didn't go home. Another idea had risen up in my mind, already formed. I guess I'd already been thinking of doing it for a while. I took a lift spin to Pioneer Park, 10 minutes of asking around in a truth test to show I wasn't a cop. I took a lift spin to Pioneer Park. 10 minutes of asking around and a truth test to show I wasn't a cop was all it took to make a connection. I went home with the drugs, started using, and didn't stop. Duster, snake, skydive, overcast. No razor wing, at least. I didn't take calls, didn't show up for the disciplinary review on Monday morning. A friend stopped by and hammered the door until I answered it. When he saw what was happening, he staged a one-man intervention. I agreed to go into treatment, but I didn't harbor any illusions. Use of personal leave was bad, but use of a bunch of psych and essay leave, career suicide. Sure, they couldn't legally fire me for it, but I'd been around FAS long enough to know they'd find a way. My career was over. I thought I was at rock bottom, but I was wrong, of course. I still had a long way to fall.
A Pucka shitstorm tour, day 7. I was 3 months out of rehab when we went camping out here. Wyatt went to sleep early, so it was just the two of us when we stayed up and watched the Perseids. After, as we talked about the stars and space tech, I suddenly knew what I wanted to do with my life.
Hi, Ma. It was August, summer school had wrapped, and I'd aced my courses, so I was heading back to the 10th grade with a good head of steam. As a reward for my studies and my sobriety, you and Wyatt gave me a Fullerton Labs Astro Prodigy and took me camping to watch the Perseids at their peak. I was amped. Wyatt spent all afternoon struggling with self-constructing shelter he'd bought for the trip, until finally he gave up and built the damn thing manually. Well, the sleeping pods, anyways, while we made a fire and cooked dinner. It must have taken a lot out of him because Wyatt was nodding off at dinner and went to bed soon after. As night fell, we sat and watched the meteors streak across the sky like fingernail scratches, marveling at their abundance, laughing our delight. After an hour or so, you asked me to teach you the constellations, so I launched the Astro Prodigy and played Professor spouting off each star group as the drone magnified them. Later, I had it zoom in on the Odyssey, which was still being constructed in orbit back then. It was another year or two before they abandoned it. We could actually see the robots building it, zipping across the hell like little fireflies. So I jabbered about that, which got me started on yammering about the robots that Pharaoh and other corporations, even Metallurgic, had begun sending up to mine helium-3 from Luna and metals from the asteroid belt. The more I spoke about space tech, the more excited I became, but I was getting cold too. Deserts at night are like that. So I sat back down next to you and we huddled under the camp blanket. For a little while we were quiet. I wanted to say what I was thinking, but it felt ridiculous. But then Wyatt snored explosively from inside the shelter and we giggled, and our laughter seemed to make an opening for me to just go ahead and say it. That I, your delinquent son who'd almost flunked out of high school, who nearly died of an OD at a Bashcore concert, wanted to be an aerospace engineer and make the sorts of machines we'd been talking about. Robots to gather resources in the solar system, maybe even ones that could travel to other stars and colonize new worlds. You looked at me and smiled. Then that is what you will do. And then you looked up at the night sky and said, very plainly, as though it was a simple fact, you will write the story of our family across the stars. School started the next week, and I never looked back.
Day 12. As we watched the booster arc up into the night sky, riding a pillar of flame, you took my hand, squeezed it, and said, "You have written the story of our family across the stars."
Hi, Ma. Last stop. After this, I'll have said everything I need to. It was just a routine launch, but for us, it might as well have been an Apollo 11. It was my first payload, a seeker extractor with an upgraded propulsion system I'd designed. The vehicle was destined for M89282, an asteroid rich in ruthenium and tungsten, a metallurgic claim as it happened, a family event through and through. So there we stood, in the open air as night fell and the stars came up. And of course I was thinking of that night years before when we watched the Perseids together and talked and dreamed of this very moment. You were thinking of it too, because when the booster launched, as it rose to the sky on its jet of flame, you took my hand and said, "You have written the story of our family across the stars." Even then I knew it wasn't true. The vehicle was headed for a rock, not a star. It was a routine launch, not some voyage of discovery, but my heart was too full to quibble. I just smiled and squeezed your hand back. It was the finest moment of my life. You and me, Ma, onwards and upwards, the start of great things. But after you died and I broke down, the meaning of that night changed. Everything that had seemed wonderful seemed to turn rotten and false. It seemed false because it was false. I'd never written anything across the stars. Sure, I'd hoped to work on a project like that, a deep space probe or a colony ship, but it never happened, and now that my career was over, it never would. And then I found out about the plague. The memory haunted me even worse. Because it wasn't just me who failed to write a story across the stars, you see. It was all of us, our entire species. All of our innovation, all of our tech, all of our striving, and it came to zero. I've been looking up at the stars a lot, Ma, and the only story I see written across them is that we are small and insignificant and will soon disappear with hardly a trace left behind. It's a hard story, and I don't much like it, so I guess maybe what I've been trying to do these past 12 days is tell a different story. Not a big story written across the stars, but a tiny one, written across the humble earth of the only world we've ever got to know. I have no reason to think that anyone or anything will survive to ever read it, but whether that happens or not, the truth of the story remains. That once upon a time, on a planet called Earth, there lived a boy named Basher who loved his mother very, very much. Goodbye, Ma. I love you. Bashar Mahdi, son of Amal and Bihas Mahdi, stepson of Wyatt Mahante. 24 November 2064.
Day 11. I came out here to die. But instead of overdosing at Wyatt's cottage, I went out walking along the water. I was standing right here when the idea hit me. And the moment it did, I knew I had to do it.
Hi, Ma. I came here with a duffel full of drugs after I found out about the plague. I had a plan, a simple one. I figured I'd spend a few days getting high and then OD on Overcast. I guess I was still furious at Wyatt for aiding and abetting your silence. If everything had gone according to plan, my corpse would have lay rotting in the cottage for who knows how long. He would have needed to at least catastrophic cleaning bots just to scrape me off the floor, a skeletal middle finger from beyond the grave. But things didn't go to plan. For some reason, I went walking out before I got high. I trudged along the shore, thinking of all the times we walked and talked here, how I changed over the years, how you'd stayed the same. Whether I was a high schooler jabbering about AP classes or a university student gossiping about my professors or a FAS engineer pontificating about payload yields, you were always there, always listening, always interested. And always encouraging me, of course, spurring me on, onwards and upwards. But now here I was, an abject failure, standing alone on this beach, as all around me, children chased playbots across the sand, sunbathers basked, families splashed in water or zipped past on old-timey boats, utterly oblivious to the mechanical terrors that would soon consume them. Brief moments in the sun, doomed to end in horror and amount to nothing. All your love and devotion, all the sacrifices you made to support my success, what had that come to? Failure. And at such cost, we never even got a chance to say goodbye. But even if I hadn't failed, even if I'd gone on succeeding, would that have been any better? The whole time I was clawing my way up the ladder at FAS, the company's military division was creating tech that would end the world. I served the same master. Success was a ladder to nowhere. It just took falling off and landing on the Vantage project to see it. I don't know why, but the irony of that had never hit me until I was standing on this beach. That it was only because I'd failed and been assigned to Vantage, an abandoned time capsule project, that I'd found out the world was ending. Irony, more like a cosmic joke. Why, then, did the realization hit me like an inspiration? I had access to the tech. I knew I could do it. Sure, in the end, it would probably all just come to nothing, like everything else. But for 50,000 years or more, whatever data I left behind would still be there. It wouldn't be much, but it wouldn't be nothing either. I went back to the cottage, stashed the drugs, called a lift spin into town. If I was going to make an end-of-the-world tour, I figured I might as well do it in style, so I leased a Sabera and rode that to FAS. I let myself into the lab, signed out 12 Vantage spikes for testing, and put them in the trunk of the Sabara, and the rest is history. It was less than 2 weeks ago. Feels like forever. When I started the tour, I figured I'd come back here and pick up where I left off. Get high, then dead. But the first thing I did when I got back was incinerate the drugs, all 2.5 months of salary worth, so that the bridge to oblivion had literally been burned. I don't know how I'm going to die, but it can't be like that. I know how you felt about me and drugs. However it happens, I can at least promise you this. I will die clean. I still have one last spike to sink, one final stop on the Grand Mystery Tour. I'll see you there.
A pocket shitstorm tour. Day 1. Where better to start than at the end? Or where the end started, anyway. Ground zero. Where it all came crashing down. My career first, then everything else. And I mean everything.
Hi, Ma. Remember how ecstatic we were when I landed a job here? Aerospace control engineer at Faro Automated Solutions, straight out of Stanford U. Saturday, I was tossing a motor board. Monday, I'm an employee of the biggest corporation on earth. Starting wage, 6 times basic. It was a dream come true, yours as much as mine. When I found out I'd landed the gig, I waited until graduation day to tell you in person. You were so proud you hugged me 5 minutes straight, laughing and crying at the same time, saying over and over, onwards and upwards, the start of great things. I thought so too. It seemed as though nothing bad would ever happen to me, to us, ever again. But bad did happen, of course. More bad than I ever knew was possible. And while I can't blame FAS for making you sick, Metallurgic gets the credit for that, I can sure as hell blame Faro for the rest. But let's talk about the end of the world later. It plays a part in this story, of course. If I hadn't found out what was coming, I wouldn't be doing this, leaving these time capsules behind. But the apocalypse isn't the story I want to tell. This is going to be about our family, about us. It's time to get going. I've spent enough of my life in the shadow of this place. I've got 11 more vantage spikes in the trunk of the Sabara I rented and some pretty good ideas of where to sink them. So let's get the hell away from this place and start sinking.
Apocalypse Shitstorm Tour, Day 10. So here's where I learned how the world would end. My second apocalypse in a year. Looks like there's a lot of construction going on now. Why would that be?
Hi, Ma. I was surprised when FAS sent me out here, not just because the meeting was going to be held in real space. I was surprised to discover that anyone at FAS still knew I existed. When I returned to work after treatment, HR informed me I'd been reassigned to the Vantage Project. It was actually exactly the professional death sentence I was expecting, the career equivalent of getting sent into a red zone without an environment soon. Everyone knew Vantage was one of those doomed projects FAS kept around solely for the purpose of assigning dead-enders to them, especially head cases like me who couldn't be summarily fired for fear of parity litigation. Month by month, management would pile losers on a lost cause, then cancel the project and lay everyone off. A ship of fools sunk with a single torpedo. Ain't wrongful dismissal if it's downsizing. I had nothing better to do, so I spent my time studying the tech. Chip design wasn't my forte, but I knew enough to admire what the engineers had accomplished with the Eternity chip. Stored data was guaranteed to last 50,000 years or more without degradation. As for the Vantage itself, the project was a little more than a failed marketing plan. The idea was to promote the tech by burying unlocked Eternity chips at scenic locales around the world. Public domain time capsules where enthusiasts could cache date-locked data. The project got as far as developing the spikes, portable drill applicators, to sink the chips, then installed when grass heckle encapsulates came on the market and stole Eternity's thunder. Anyways, I'd been at Vantage 3 weeks when FAS unexpectedly sent me out here for a real space meeting. Me, a dead-ender working in Doom Project, dispatched to a high-security FAS R&D site inside Kings Peak. It didn't make sense. Security put me in a small conference room and told me to wait. It was downright claustrophobic. Dim lights, bad ventilation, more like an interrogation room from one of those 90s cops vids. But what really got my attention was the noises coming through the walls, the non-stop bang and clatter of construction bots building something deep in the mountain, something big. The door opened and some doofs wearing FAS badges filed in. I recognized one of them, Brad Andak, a military division replication engineer I met when I first joined the company, but I don't think he recognized me. He stayed at the back of the room the whole time, looking distraught. I was about to ask what the hell was going on when a woman wearing a hijab walked in. She didn't introduce herself, but she didn't have to. It was Samina Ebadji, former lead archivist of the Odyssey, architect of the entire Homer project. Not a global celebrity by any means, but if you grew up following the Odyssey project like I did, you knew her on sight. Abadji sat down and started asking extremely precise questions about the upper range tolerances of Eternity chips. Then she asked me to speculate about the feasibility of various upgrade paths. The interview lasted maybe 10 minutes, whereupon she thanked me for my time and left. Everyone else filed out after her. Security came for me a few minutes later and escorted me to my vert. The whole way back to FAS, I kept trying to figure out what had just happened. What was Samina Ebadji doing at a classified Pharaoh R&D site asking me questions about Eternity tech? It didn't add up. By the time I landed, I knew I wasn't going to give up until I puzzled it out. The worst that could happen was that I'd get fired, and that was going to happen anyways. It took a couple of days and some geo work, but I got a fix on Brad Andak soon enough. He was going to a different bar every night, drinking to the point of blacking out. I shattered him until I managed to proxy his focus and dupe his net protocols. I didn't find anything strange in his financial records or media patterns. I was starting to think I'd wasted my time. Then I accessed his Dreambox account and found the journal he'd been keeping the past few weeks. It was all there, how the world would end. My first thought was, well, at least my ma didn't live to see this. My second thought was that nothing mattered anymore, which made it pretty obvious that I should kill myself.
Apaka Shitstorm Tour, Day 5. The Grey Swarms opened for Turtle Smash the night I OD'd here. Or so the police report said, anyway. I was 15 years old. When I woke in the hospital, 2 days later, your face was the first thing I saw.
Hi, Ma. I don't remember anything about the concert, the bands, the music, the crowds. I was too throttled on Skydive and Snake that night to distinguish the thunder of Bashcore from the roar of blood in my head. And then I ran across a pusher who was selling Razor Wing for $8 a tab. That's right, Razor Wing. A certain designer stimulant named after a late 30s fighter craft that our family had a certain unpleasant association with. So I declined the offer, heeded the ominous portent, and got the hell out of there, right? Or maybe what I did was buy 4 tabs and take them all at once. Yeah, did that. According to the police report, I went berserk and attacked the pusher, then set fire to his stash, and then went after the security drones that showed up. I didn't get far. The drones put 50,000 volts through me, which wouldn't have been such a big deal if my heart hadn't already been hammering along at triple time. The shock flat out killed me. The medbots came fast as they could, but the first glitched out and the second got hung up in the crowd, so I was dead for almost 2 minutes. And even after they revived me, my condition was touch and go on account of all the substances sloshing through my veins. When I came out of the coma, your face was the first thing I saw. You'd been crying. Your makeup was smudged, dark lines around your cheeks. When our eyes met, I expected you to start yelling. And weak as I was ready to yell back. Not even a coma could break my defiance. But you didn't yell. You quietly asked Wyatt to wait in the hall and then pushed your chair right up to the edge of my bed and took my hand. I wanted to jerk my hand back, but I couldn't. It wasn't the strength of your grip that stopped me, but the warmth of your hand, the gentleness with which you took mine. When you spoke, your voice was quiet, just above a whisper. When I lost your Baba 7 years ago, you were my only reason to go on living. Your gaze lifted to the medical equipment surrounding us, the tubes and blinking lights. You shook your head. Why do you live like no one loves you? Don't you realize that if you die, all my hopes and dreams, all the hopes and dreams of your father, die with you? You reached and touched my hair like a thundercrack I broke, or maybe I was just snapping back together. I lay there sobbing for what felt like years. The whole time you never took your hand away, and I didn't either. The next day I agreed to go into treatment. I wish I could say I never picked it up again, but as we both know, that's not exactly how it turned out.
Apaka Shitstorm Tour, Day 6. I was fresh out of rehab when we saw the Metallurgist play the Hearts Wayfarers. The Emmett jersey looked pretty funny. Hopefully you're sorry.
Hi, Ma. So this would have been late May or early June. I was only a week or 2 out of rehab, still feeling pretty raw, pretty jangly about sober life. You'd already gone toe-to-toe with Mr. Gearson, that jerk principal who tried to block my readmission. I was looking at 8 weeks of summer school to make up for all the courses I flunked, but I didn't mind. Without drugs, I didn't really know what to do with myself yet, so I welcomed the structure. The metallurgists were playing the Wayfarers, and as usual, Wyatt had box tickets, but this was the first time I'd agree to go. Hell, it was probably the first time I'd agree to do anything as a family. In retrospect, I'm surprised Wyatt was willing to bring his hellion stepson to a public event so soon. I'd seen teams slug it out on Hollow before, of course, but seeing it in the real was a whole other thing. The size of the machines, their speed, the way they bashed each other to pieces, it was intense. All at once, my fascination with tech, which had kind of faded as I'd sunk into drugs, came roaring back. When homie Rahman, the team's chief engineer, stopped by the box at halftime, I was all over him, blasting him with questions like a one-boy press conference. Looking back, it wouldn't surprise me if you took me to that game hoping to get me excited about tech before I headed into summer school. Or was it that you wanted me to catch a glimpse of corporate privilege? It was always your dream that I'd end up in engineering or business. Well, there was plenty of engineering on display when Connor 12 scored with an 18-meter rocket jump, and plenty of VPs and even C-levels in the box with us when we cheered the goal. Yeah, it was a setup. You knew what you were doing. Always did. So,
Any good to see?
yeah, and,
Perfect wearing. Any one of the hunters would be suited to what
you may have noticed I got a little choked up reading some of that, and, it's a,
Care to travel south. I'd not get much further than the grave warrior.
it's a very, emotional story, obviously, but also I had similar experiences in my own personal life.
Stay safe if you can.
I'm not going to go into details of all of that, but yeah, I've,
Hunt gone sour is no one's fault.
suffice it to say, I can relate to a lot of that.
The question isn't how the band
So,
is driven out.
all that
Everyone
being
bands
said,
cut to begin
I'm going to
with.
take a break. We're pretty much done with the supplemental stuff. All we need to do right now, we have 18,000 shards, and we need, let's see. I know we can't buy everything, but there is a few things here we can at least look at. And possibly sell a couple of things here as well. And I'm gonna grab my notebook to see what I need and don't need. Okay. All the way back up to the top. Okay, long leg heart. We need crystal braiding. Crystal braiding I don't need. Charger I do need. Luminous braiding I do need. Strider I'm pretty sure I need. I'm checking. Yeah, I need Strider. And then Grazer, which I also do need. And then everything else is just resources. And we can get rid of a lot of it, honestly. Like, I don't even use Metal Burn, really. The Blaze I'm going to keep. The Chill Water I'm going to keep. We can get rid of a bunch of these sparkers. We can get rid of a bunch of this wire and some of the excess meat. Ooh, that puts us at 24. Okay. That's good. We're gonna do a little bit of math here because we have everything purchased from Frozen Wilds. So I need to pull up my calculator on my phone. Okay, so 4, and that's 8,000 plus 3,900 plus 3,850 plus 3,800. is 19,550, so we have more than enough. We won't even have to really farm shards. Because we only have 20,000 shards left for buying all that stuff, and yeah, all we need to do. So there's going to be 2 more parts left. So that's the ice resistant, that's corruption resistant, but I can't, there's some that I can't buy in the cut. And I think it's like the, yeah, I don't even really remember.
With their ridiculous
But
ideas about women.
we'll buy off.
How many great
Okay. I got distracted by something that she was saying, but, yeah, so this is the last supplemental episode, for sure. And it's the short ones, that's good. Or a short one, anyways. So in the next part, what we're going to do is we're going to run up to here and do the hunting grounds and Agree's challenge. And then when we finish that, we will be done with the Frozen Wilds. And then when we're done with that, we'll head all the way back to Meridian and finish the last quest of the game, and we'll be done. So that's going to be the next 2 parts. Don't know how long they're going to be. Maybe as long as this one, who knows, but we'll see. But until then, it should be very, very soon. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Still alive.